Welcome back to Teresa's Dead. My name is Teresa and I'm very much barefaced. I have an awful garbage filthy mouth, so viewer discretion is advised, but if you're not into that or weird shit in general, this is definitely not the place for you. Feel free to X out the video here. No harm, no foul, but I'll remember our time fondly. Y'all, we have a new type of video for today. And honestly, I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I have been talking about recapping Bravo stories because one, I love Bravo, but two, I love a good story. So in today's video, I will be doing just that. Except I'm also gonna do my makeup too. Why not? So in today's video, I am recapping at a high level Vanderpump Rules season 1. And the reason why I'm starting with Vanderpump Rules is, I guess I should back up a little bit. I love rewatching old Bravo shows. It just gives me a sense of joy and comfort, like a warm hug. And with all of this stuff happening currently in the current world that is Vanderpump Rules, there's a lot of just fucking nonsense going on. So I thought to myself, you know what? Let's start back from the beginning because I do remember some things, but there's some things that I don't remember. And I kind of want to see if there's been a pattern all along for this past 10 years or so. And it feels like there is a pattern, but in any case, I love season 1. I forgot how amazing it is, so I'm excited to get to talk about it now. Now, if you don't know what Vanderpump Rules is, it's based on a restaurant named Sir, which is co-owned by Lisa Vanderpump. Now, Lisa Vanderpump is a real housewife. Well, she was a real housewife of the Beverly Hills cast, but that's another story for another day. So without further ado, let's do my makeup and talk about this shit, because it's wild. Also, I want to make sure to link down all the stuff that I'm going to be using in today's video down below, so if you have any questions, everything you need is going to be down in the description box. So let me set the scene for you and introduce you to our lovely cast of characters. Sir is a restaurant that stands for sexy, unique restaurant. It's kind of cringe. Yeah, it is. Now, Lisa at the time only owned 2 restaurants, so it was Villa Blanca and Sir. And the whole premise of like Sir is the way that it is that Villa Blanca is meant for your wife, while Sir is meant for your mistress. So that's the premise of this restaurant, pretty much, right? So in episode 1, we are introduced to Stassi, and she is the restaurant's queen bee. And in classic Mean Girl style, we are introduced to 2 of Stassi's best friends, which is Katie and Kristen. Now, all 3 of these ladies have boyfriends. Starting with Jax, that's Stassi's boyfriend and also a mediocre bartender. Honestly, don't even know how he has a job for most of it, but whatever. And I say that because he often just doesn't want to make any drinks. I think he just wants to stand there and be pretty or open a bottle of wine or 2, but like when it comes to actually muddling drinks, he's not gonna fucking do it. Then you have the 2 Toms. You have Tom Schwartz, who's not working for the restaurant, but he is a male model, and I use that term very loosely. And then you have Tom Sandoval, which I'm sure you've heard about all of his capering as of late, but that's where we are first introduced to the douche fuck. Anyway, Tom Sandoval is a star bartender and also a Renaissance man in his own eyes. The group comes off as super special people that one, not only serve crispy chicken appetizers, but they also have aspirations to be so much more. Whether they want to be a model or a singer or an actor, they have big dreams, baby. Now, you're probably saying, well, how can we create drama? And I'm sure all my folks that work in restaurants are like, I can take it from here. Because I don't think I've ever met a single person that has worked in a restaurant that didn't have drama in their lives, okay? It's wild. So how do we add drama to this show? Well, let's add a new girl to the mix. And here comes Miss Sheena. Now, Sheena is famously known for being the other woman to another Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Well, former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Brandi Glanville. So Sheena was famously known as the other woman to the failed marriage between Eddie and Brandi. So Sheena is pretty much painted as the town whore, and Stassi, who's leading the angry mob with pitchforks up to the castle, makes it her sole mission to humiliate the shit out of this girl. Because Stassi is convinced that Sheena is a home-wrecking whore. Her words, not mine. However, Sheena denies it because she only has eyes for one person, and his name is Mike. Now, Mike has like a sad story arc, but in season 1, his personality is in line with like a potato with googly eyes, okay? Like there's nothing. We got nothing going on. I feel like I can't even hear him. I have my volume on like 90 and it's like I hear, I just can't hear him. I don't know why. Anyway, from the first episode, you get the sense that something's not right. And it's only a matter of time before this superficial group crumbles. And boy, does it crumble. Now, one of the first significant events that happens in season 1 that pretty much lays the foundation of just delicious, delicious deceit is the Gay Pride Parade in West Hollywood. Now this was Sir's moment to shine in a loud, furry pink float. Now the staff is divided between two floats, and Jax, who is on the outs with Stassi, they weren't really broken up, but they were fighting, use it to his benefit by making her jealous of Sheena. So Stassi, who's on the other float, is just kind of watching on in horror as Jax asks Sheena to like rub suntan lotion on his bare shoulders. Because, oh, I forgot to tell you, all the men that are on these floats are just shirtless. They're just shirtless. Now, as Stassi was like watching Sheena in slow motion rub suntan lotion on Jax's bare skin, she had a full-blown meltdown that echoed in the streets of West Hollywood. And I'm sure on some nights when the moon is full, you can still hear her yells echoing in the night. Now, that night, after the party, the whole gang attends a birthday party in which Jax arrives in true Jax fashion and, you know, makes it about himself and also does like, I think 7 to 8 shots, just like one after the next. And then he decides, you know what's a good idea? Why not have a really good heart-to-heart with my girlfriend who's mad at me? And in his slurring, muddled speech, honestly, I don't even know what the fuck he was talking about. He was just going on and honestly made no sense. But I guess in a way he was professing his love to her, or so he thought he was, I don't know. I'm sure in his mind it sounded good, but not what we saw, baby. No, not what we saw. Stassi at this point realizes, I'm dating a fucking moron. And she decided, you know what? Our relationship, we need a little bit of a break right now. Now, once Jax kind of figured out, you know, just not gonna work with me and Stassi, he sought comfort from a friend, and that friend is named Frank. And Frank is another fellow bartender at Sir. And since Jax is not the sharpest pencil in the bunch, he doesn't realize that Frank is literally foaming at the mouth. Like, he obviously cannot wait to fuck Stassi. Like, he is just excited. He's like, finally, I get my chance at the queen. And so while Jax and Stassi, who have been together for 2 years, it only took technically 2 days for her to then fuck Frank. God bless this country. Now, this is where it gets interesting. See, Stassi's friends they're a little divided. They don't like a new uncle. They like their old uncle. And by uncle, I mean Jax and not Frank. I realize how confusing that could have sounded. So they love Jax, they don't like change, and they sure as fuck don't like Frank. But Frank, who I can only describe as, honestly, he like embodies a live action Lego figure. He's just blocky, and I'm just like, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. He just has no substance. Anyway, Frank is like a pig in shit, super happy that he's now pursuing a relationship with the queen, and life couldn't be better for those two, or so they thought. Now, the next notable scene of this season is when Stassi and Frank decide to go to the supper club. Now, the date kind of starts really like innocuous. They're drinking, they're dry humping on the dance floor, nothing exciting. So as this is going on, then like Batman trying to save Gotham, good old boy Jax enters the supper club wearing a suit because he is hell-bent on getting Stassi back. And he fucking does, literally within 5 minutes. This boy is like, I love you. I only have eyes for you. And she's like, me too, yes. Let's make this work. So as Stassi now leaves with Jax, Frank loses his fucking mind. And thus, now starts a revolution against Jax. Frank starts airing Jax's dirty laundry. And most notably, how Jax got a girl from Vegas pregnant. And this all happened while Jax was with Stassi. And honestly, I don't know if Frank was mad because Jax cheated on Stassi or the fact that Jax asked Frank to cover his shift. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. But he was pissed though. I'm gonna assume the latter. Now, the next day, Stassi, who also shares an apartment with Jax, but Jax is nowhere to be found, is on the floor Carrie Bradshaw style, you know what I mean? Sex in the City style, just crying with her friends around her. Now, the friends though in question are other members from Sir, but I guess they weren't that interesting enough to get camera time because you kind of only see glimpses of these people, but they're all just kind of awkwardly sitting in this living room watching this girl cry on the floor. It was fucking strange. Anyway, Katie and Kristen come in and they're a little confused. They're like, hi, who the fuck are these people? And that's when Stassi breaks the news to them. And you know what? They kind of can't believe it. They're like, wait a second, I'm confused, what? So Frank's telling you that he had sex with somebody in Vegas while he was with you and like, it's coming from him? That's kind of convenient. And Stassi's like, you don't understand. Frank would never lie to me. So of course, Stassi and Katie, because you know, they're best friends with Stassi, are kind of sitting there with her, but the whole time they're like, I don't know about this. Oh, it's kind of weird. This is kind of weird. Now the next scene, you find Jax, who is with now Tom Sandoval and Kristen. And he asks them, hey, can I stay here while I figure this out? But trust and believe, I didn't knock anybody up and I love Stassi. Don't believe any of the rumors because you know me. I would never lie to you about that stuff. Like, that's bad. And that's what happened. And Tom Sandoval and Kristen said, absolutely. No, I fucking believe you. I believe you. We believe you. Now, another notable scene is Stassi's birthday. Now, Stassi's birthday is one of my favorite things from the Vanderpump Rules multiverse. Stassi is the type of person that just loves to remind people it's her birthday and that they should act accordingly. So she got a few members of the Sir family and pretty much left the restaurant high and dry. To go to Vegas. Honestly, it's not a birthday party until somebody is left crying. Anyway, this birthday party doesn't disappoint. So while Stassi is having pretty much the time of her life with her new boyfriend Frank, and surrounded by people who look like they'd rather get their teeth pulled than to be celebrating with her or him. Guess who decides to crash the party? Our good old boy Jax. In a white cable knit sweater, might I add. And let's take a moment to appreciate this beauty, okay? Like, this was beautiful. Now he comes into this Moroccan theme party like a janky knight in shining wool to yell at Frank. And that's when all hell breaks loose. Jax yells at Frank. Stassi yells at Jax. Kristen then yells at Frank. Frank yells at Kristen. Tom Schwartz yells at Stassi. Stassi yells at Tom Schwartz. And then throws a drink. Katie and Stassi choke each other out. And then Tom Schwartz dumps beer on top of Stassi's head. Then they all leave the restaurant or get kicked out. I don't know which came first. But then Tom Sandoval decides, I don't know why, he decides to take his shirt off and charge, but not like charge near Frank, just like by the PA. So like the production assistant can hold Tom Sandoval back. Now this is all happening in a strip mall. Might I add, a strip mall in Vegas? So then Jax comes out and Frank's yelling and Jax is yelling and then Jax decides to whip off that beautiful cable knit sweater and then charges at Frank, but ultimately gets caught by the PA. Now honestly, and I'm gonna try to put a clip right here. Honestly, if you play the song I've Had the Time of My Life, you would think Jax is Jennifer Grey and the PA is Patrick Swayze, okay? Just like that, the fight breaks up and they all go their separate ways. Now, when Stassi returns to LA, everything changes. She continues to work on her relationship with Frank, but pretty much everyone on Team Jax like excommunicates her. And now poor little Stassi is all alone. Now, moving on from Stassi, Jax decides to set his sights on a different girl at Sir. And now we have Laura-Lee. No, not this Laura-Lee. This Laura-Lee. Laura-Lee is a plucky girl with an adorable voice that sounds like a chipmunk, and she has her own challenges, but she is drawn to the fire that is Jax Taylor. She's drawn to chaos. Now, while in Vegas, many of the staff called Lisa Vanderpump. So kind of throughout this whole show, you know, you're probably thinking like, okay, it's like about a restaurant of workers. Like, how does Lisa Vanderpump fit in? Lisa Vanderpump is kind of like this weird like puppet master. She kind of sits in the middle, and I think just because of, you know, she's so rich or whatever, it's just probably just her playing with her toys. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. So anyway, they all call Lisa and they're like, this is what happened in Vegas and da 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 da. And so when everyone came back to LA, she made it a point to have a staff meeting because this is not going to happen in her restaurant unless she's controlling it, of course. But anyway. So during this meeting, Lisa is like just reprimanding everybody, right? Just being like, you're all a bunch of fucking children. Like I'm doing a horrible Lisa Vanderpump, but anyway, she's just yelling at them that they're all being children and that. Can she even go on? Like, can the staff stop fucking each other? Like, that's what she's pretty much yelling during this meeting. So now Laura-Lee chimes in and explaining that Stassi has sent very, very aggressive text messages to her, basically calling her a gutter whore. And she's like saying this in front of everybody at the restaurant. To be a fly on the fucking wall, right? So the staff meeting doesn't really end very well for Stassi. She soon realizes she is all alone because everybody's pretty much taking the side of Jax. She has nobody except her weird Lego action boyfriend. Now Sheena, who is no stranger to being exiled, extends a proverbial olive branch to Stassi and they become fast friends. Also, during the season, Sheena debuts her singing career, which is very short-lived, so I'm not gonna highlight it too much, but the song kind of bops for 2012. Anyway, so if it couldn't get any worse for poor Stassi, Jax and Laura-Lee are caught fucking each other in the served bathroom, which that is so gross. I mean, we're in COVID times, right? You know, so like the thought of that nowadays, but the thought back then, I was like, oh my God, like I found that to be the most offensive thing. People who go to restaurants who have explosive diarrhea and then you're gonna have sex near that. No, no thank you, ma'am. You couldn't pay me unless it was for my student loans. Then, all right, maybe it's not so bad after all. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. The reason why he's like fucking her in the bathroom and doing all this stuff, Jax basically just wants to make Stassi as jealous as humanly possible. But unfortunately, Laura-Lee is not aware of this plan because she actually genuinely cares about this bucket of chum. So little Laura-Lee is just kind of like, this is great. This is what love is, right? Poor Laura-Lee. Now Stassi rekindles her relationship with Katie. So she has Sheena, she has the Lego boyfriend, and now she has Katie. And Katie also mentions that she thinks that Frank is pretty much an opportunist and really kind of just doesn't believe that Jax got a girl pregnant. Now the relationship between Stassi and Frank is a little fractured and it's not healthy. He's very weird and kind of aggressive, but Stassi is still pushing forward because she's like, you know what? This at least is better than me dealing with Jax. So on the day that Stassi decides, you know what? I think this is going somewhere. I think this is real love. Meet my family. Frank loses his job at SUR. And he gets fired because Frank tells a customer, over Frank's mistake, might I add you, if the customer didn't walk away, he was going to atomic wedgie him in front of his girlfriend. So basically, long story short, the customer asked for a drink. I believe it was like a double or something like that. Anyway, Frank got it all wrong and charged 4 times the amount that the drink should cost. So when the customer was like, hey, what the fuck is this? I didn't ask for this, I asked for this. Frank was like, I don't give a shit. Like, if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't really be here anyway. Fucking gross, bro. And then just, you know, to add insult to injury, basically told him that he was gonna atomic wedgie him in front of his fucking girlfriend. Anywhoosies. So the relationship between her and Frank, it doesn't really last too much longer and it kind of fizzles out and it goes away. Now, while all of this is happening, probably one of the most iconic scenes and the most fucking cringiest scenes is when Laura-Lee, who's at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, decides to take Jax to the meeting or have Jax meet her at the meeting. And it's not awful to show the meeting. Like, that, I think that's great. That kind of normalizes people wanting to get help. I think that's wonderful. This next part is what makes it like fucking gut punch me every time I see it. But basically, it's Laura-Lee's turn to talk about her story, and she has a very troubled past. She was addicted to drugs. She's trying to figure it out. She's trying to get into a good place and she doesn't want to go back there, and that's pretty much, you know, what she's sharing. So as she's starting to open up about her past, like, you see Jax next to her like this. It's so funny because like in his confessional, like he kind of knew some things about her, but I don't know if he either knew all of this. I feel like she probably told him all this stuff to just pour salt on a wound. He just made it seem like, I didn't even know any of this happened. Like it was real dramatic. So at the fucking end of the NA meeting, he says, hey, great meeting. Can we talk? And basically says like, it's not you, it's me. Like I was like in this long relationship and like, maybe I shouldn't have jumped into this, and like we don't need to spend every second together, and like I know like you're really trusting a lot of deep stuff with me, and I'm just like not ready to handle that. So I kind of like basically want out of the relationship. So she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. She bolts out of the meeting, and then he finds her and he backtracks by saying like, no, like I still want to like fuck you, you know, like I want to have sex with you. I just don't want like everything else, you know, like I want to be able to miss you. The fuck does that even mean? I just don't want the emotional you know what I mean? Like I just want to like stick it in the bathroom, but like we can go our separate ways, but like also make my ex-girlfriend really jealous of you. Like that's what I want in our relationship, not this truth stuff. That's too much for me. Are we cool? Cool. And that's pretty much how it ends. It was like, okay. So now back at work, Laura-Lee, who is pretty much just very like on top of the world after that conversation, heads over to Stassi, who's sitting alone, and basically tells Stassi that she needs to take the victim tampon out of her ass, to which Stassi laughs and says, you have been single white femaling me, and that her whole life's a lie, and that Jax really doesn't love her, and that Jax still texts Stassi that he loves her, and so you're just a mere distraction. Which then Laura-Lee says, yeah, I don't care, that's fine, but he's still coming home to fuck me at the end of the day. Which I don't know in hindsight if Laura-Lee thought that was the dig that was gonna be like the end all be all, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was just sad. It was really sad. So Stassi looks at her and pretty much says, that is the single most embarrassing thing I've heard my whole life. And we could just see all the self-respect that Laura-Lee ever had just leave her body, like poof. Anyway, so Stassi is just emotionally distraught at work, and she basically tells the manager like, hey, listen, this girl is attacking me. I need to get out of here. I don't want to serve crispy chicken appetizers. I just want to go home. Fuck this place. So a few days later go by, and Jax pulls Stassi over at work and pretty much just lays all his cards out on the table. Laura-Lee was a mere distraction, and he basically just wants her back. He says, listen, I know I was a terrible boyfriend, but I didn't have sex with anybody in Vegas. You gotta believe me. I love you. Just trust me again, baby. Like, it's all gonna work out. And Stassi, who looks like she might be taking the bait, says, listen, I love you, but I can't be with you. But maybe in the future we can. So cut to the next day. Laura-Lee is on the warpath. And she confronts Jax, and she does this in front of customers, which I thought was pretty like, fuck, like, oh my God. I couldn't even, I wish I was one of the customers. Oh, it would have been amazing to watch. So one of my favorite things that she says to him in front of the customers is this. Sorry, I've been fucking you every day without protection and been inside of you and told you really intimate things every day. But guess what? I don't have enough respect for you to tell you that I'm not gonna talk to you ever again. Fuck you. And thank you for taking the time to defriend me on Facebook, because your passive aggressive way of ending this relationship really took some balls. You're an asshole. Honestly, I could listen to that every day. Now we head straight into the finale. And the finale, it doesn't disappoint. Laura-Lee is the queen of manifesting because she actually books a Hollywood role. So basically at the end of her speech to Jax prior, she basically said, listen, you're stuck with me until I book a job. So I don't give a fuck if we see each other every day. I'm here. I'm never gonna leave. And the next day she books a job. I mean, that's amazing. She probably had the best ending out of everybody in this whole fucking cast. For season 1 anyway. It was honestly probably one of the most rewarding things that ever happened in season 1. So maybe Laura-Lee's career wasn't Oprah's, for example, but at least she got to follow her dream, and nobody can take that away from her. Also, again, an epic way to get off the show. Anyway, Kristen and Stassi, who've been pretty much on the out since like episode like 3 or whatever, now kind of find their way back to each other. And all is well again in the Sir household. One of the things that the show has, or one of the more like defining moments, right? Like they always have the Pride Parade, and then they have like the Sir photo shoot. So usually at the end of summer, Lisa gets all the Sir babies to come to her house or like a location, and she basically does a photo shoot of all her staff in like skimpy outfits. It's weird. So it's a billboard for the restaurant, but it has nothing to do with the crispy chicken that they serve. Instead, it's all about their waitresses in like skimpy bikinis or their bartenders wearing cock socks, essentially. And these awful statement necklaces. Like, I know it was like okay for the time, but Jesus, like no, ew. During the photo shoot, Lisa Vanderpump pulls Stassi aside, and Stassi reveals to Lisa, I'm with Frank again. And she fears that everybody at this photo shoot, because everybody's having a good time, is gonna find out, and then it's gonna cause a lot of bullshit because, you know, even though her and Jax are not together, you know, Jax kind of feels there might be something there. And so nobody knows really that technically Stassi is with Frank. Stassi basically just wants everyone not to find out because everybody's having such a good time at this photo shoot. Anyway, the photo shoot ends and there's some sexual tension between Stassi and Jax, but it's par for the course. Now we jump to Jax, who is in a very intimate therapy session, and we start to kind of discover the layers that is Jax Taylor, and that maybe he's more than just a cock in a sock or a cable knit sweater. The boy has feelings, and there's a method to his madness. You find out he's a pathological liar. Everything about his life, including his name, is a fucking lie. And now he wants to change. And so his therapist is pretty much encouraging him like, hey, you want to be a better person? Well, start acting like it. Start apologizing, stop being a piece of shit. Now, at a different photo shoot, but I'm guessing it all happened within like the same day. So I guess like the sexy swimming photo shoot was in the morning, and then at night there was like the Sir waitresses in like these kind of dominatrix outfits doing like kissing. I mean, I don't know, like listen, whatever helps you sell your crispy chicken and goat cheese balls, do what you gotta do. But I was like, okay, interesting. Anyway. During the photo shoot, we see Stassi and Katie talking, and Stassi comes clean about her complicated love life. And while she loves Jax, she also loves Frank, and so she's in a conundrum. And of course, probably the one thing that you wouldn't expect that happens in the last fucking episode is all the ladies are getting along. Stassi, Kristen, Sheena, Katie, like they're all getting along. Which I know I didn't touch upon Sheena's storyline, but there really, honestly, there really wasn't one in season 1 other than her being like a home-wrecking whore in the first fucking episode. There was another episode where it like focused on her crying because she got to work and they told her she couldn't work this party because Brandy Glanville was there. So they wanted her to like basically take Kristen's shift. So she was like bawling in the bathroom. And then there was another scene where she was making these really weird like Britney Spears sex sounds. And it was one of the most uncomfortable things of my life. I didn't want to touch upon that because it's not even important. Sorry, Sheena, but it wasn't. You don't have a story, not in season 1 anyway. And honestly, Katie and Kristen, they were like background characters. So they didn't really offer anything in this season. There was one point where Kristen, during a photo shoot, I think like maybe episode 2, she found someone that Tom Sandoval had sex with, but it wasn't like anything that was like, ooh, it's like, oh, who cares? It's the past. However, Kristen is front row and center in season 2, and I think that is my favorite fucking season ever, and that's a good one, but we'll get to that one next time. Anyway, everybody is getting along, everybody's really happy, and it's like a nice day at Sir. All the weirdness has gone, and even though Jax and Stassi, basically the king and queen of this restaurant, are not together, everybody is just happy, they're getting along. So one of the last things that they do during the photo shoot or the day of the photo shoot is that they close Sir down and they have like a big like end of summer party and basically just, you know, celebrate all of the workers and all their hard work and all that stuff. A nice staff appreciation. So Jax comes to Sir because, mind you, he was missing for most of the day other than his like cock sock thing that he did in the pool. He was at therapy just really, you know, trying to dive into himself. Jax decides, you know, I'm going to beeline it straight to Lisa because he needed to just let her know everything that is going on with him. So Jax pretty much says to Lisa, hey, your place of business, this is toxic. I'm toxic. And I think that your business will do better if I'm not here. I need to go. I need to be me somewhere else, like away from all of these people because I'm toxic. Like, that's essentially how the conversation went. And Lisa was like, okay, so you're not gonna be there for your shift tomorrow? Okay. But yeah, you should leave probably. It's probably best for the restaurant. You fucked half the waitresses here and pretty sure you stole a lot of my silverware and salt and pepper shakers. So maybe you should go. But also, Jax, you do this all the time. So if you're really gonna go, I guess you might as well say your goodbyes, but I'm sure I'll see you on Monday. That's pretty much how the conversation went. So after he basically tells Lisa he wants to be jobless, he then heads over to find Stassi. And he gives Stassi this really massive bouquet of flowers. So Jax looks at Stassi and says, you see, a month before shit hit the fan with us and before we broke up, I did go to Vegas and I did have sex with somebody and I did impregnate them. But I'm coming clean, so I think you should forgive me. That is basically what I took away from it. Stassi then literally explodes, like explodes. And as she starts to sob, she says, you are terrifying. You pretty much lied up and down to everybody and made them believe you. And you made my life a living hell. So no, we're not good. We're not good. She went on to say, like, you basically destroyed my life and let others believe that you were such a good guy and I was such a bitch. And now it's true. You definitely had sex with somebody and you got somebody pregnant while being with me. What the fuck? He then says, I'm sorry. No, seriously, that's all he says. He says, I'm sorry. So he basically leaves and says, you're never gonna see me again until we tape the reunion. He then leaves Stassi. Now, all this is happening at the back of the restaurant. He walks over to everybody else that's at the front of the restaurant and is like, hey guys, hey everybody, Jax here, hi. I just want to let everybody know that I'm a liar. And yep, I did cheat on my girlfriend and got someone pregnant. But like, listen y'all, I need to be alone. So I'm gonna sit outside of the restaurant. If anyone want to come talk to me, that's fine, but I just need to be alone. Like that's literally what he did. So he goes outside and he sits by the dumpster and he patiently waits for people to come to him, and just like moths to a fucking flame, at least 4 guys were like, oh my god, Jax, what happened? You got someone pregnant? I didn't know that. Fucking men. I can't. I just can't. Anyway, Lisa now runs to Stassi because she knows what happened. Stassi's in tears. And she just keeps yelling, Frank was right. Frank told all of you that Jax was a liar and you didn't believe him. Everyone's like, yeah, Jax is a great liar. I still don't really like Frank. So they cut back outside to all the men that are around Jax and they're like, what are we gonna do now? And then it cuts back to Stassi and Lisa. And Lisa asks, well, Stassi, what are you going to do now? And Stassi looks at her boldly and says, I'm gonna go to the bar. And you know what? If that were me, I would have said the same fucking thing. And there you have it. That was pretty much season 1 at a high level. It was such a wild ride, and watching it now, literally fucking 10 years later, right? It's unbelievable. It's still really good fucking TV. Like, it definitely drew me in. I was like, oh god, oh, this is so good. Yeah, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful watch. The reunion was really good as well. So I do recommend you watching it. Obviously, I did leave out some details here and there, but you know, like, do you really care about Sheena's singing career? The answer for that is no. It gets a little bit more complicated as we go on. Like I mentioned, the next season is actually my favorite because of how many twists and turns that happen. It is so fucking good. But I think for a season 1 of a show, this was amazing. Probably one of the better Bravo first seasons out there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different, but I really love Bravo and I really love just recapping shit in a fun way. So anyway, if you want to see me talk about other shows, please let me know down below and I will watch them for you and we will do them in this type of format. And also all the makeup that I use on my face are things that I absolutely love and adore. The newest one being the Lethal Cosmetics palette. This palette's so fucking good. Go check it out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, now I want to hear from y'all. Let me know down below. What are your thoughts? Well, how ridiculous do you think this whole thing is? It's really good, right? Or let me know your favorite moments of the Vanderpump Rules multiverse. Let me know because I love hearing from you. And also, side note too, I think I might not just focus in like succession, basically like do like 1 to like season 10 of Vanderpump Rules. Kind of want to jump around to other shows too because like I mentioned before, I rewatch a lot of them. So when I do this again, it might not be season 2 of this one. I might start something else as well. You know, I love options. I'm a Libra, okay? Anyway, with that said, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it as always. Feel free to like, comment, hit that subscribe button. It's free, and hit that bell icon for notification of all my future posts. Follow me on Instagram, and to my beautiful, wonderful Patreon and YouTube members, thank you so much for keeping this delicious, disgusting, filthy, trashy, really filthy, really gross, really nasty garbage boat afloat. Couldn't do without you. I love your adorable little delicious faces. I just want to gobble you all up so you live inside my belly and we can be one. If you want to know again what is on my face, everything you need to know will be listed down below. Also, if you want to know where to watch Vanderpump Rules, I'll leave all the information down below. Definitely get Peacock app if you can, because that's like the best way to watch it. Peacock is really great. Anyway, love y'all. See you next time. Bye.